It's in our DNA. We choose the way of Earth. We choose the right to be who we are. We know the difference between the reality of freedom and the illusion of freedom. There's a way to live with Earth and a way not to live with Earth. We choose the way of Earth.
My name is Ansley Jemison. This is the Original Peoples Podcast, coming to you from the home base here at Ganondagan State Historic Site in Victor, New York, home of the Onondaga people. We are actually going into season number 4. I cannot believe that this has happened. I mean, when I started this project, I would have never imagined that I would have made it this long. But, you know, it really proves the fact that, like, there's a lot of interesting stories left to be told. And, you know, I'm always trying to keep it fresh, trying to keep it new, kind of trying to keep it interesting. And there's different things that kind of come up in and around the culture that I think people oftentimes may overlook or may not think about indigenous culture. I mean, there's always sort of this mysticism around Native people and who we are, and there's sort of this romanticization of, like, indigenous lives and indigenous stories and indigenous peoples and things like that, and the noble Indian type of things. And, you know, there's a level of that is real, that is out there. But in actuality, I mean, like, you know, as a group, as a people, as Haudenosaunee people in particular, there's a lot of different identities that are in there. There's a lot of different things that are mixed in there where, you know, we have a lot of different backgrounds, where there's people who are from the community. You have people that are suburban. You have people that are urban. You also even have country people, you know? And so it's a different sort of, like, group. We're not a monolith, you know? And there's people that have all sorts of different interests, talents, skills. And the gentleman that I'm going to welcome in today is a gentleman that, like, you know, prior to what we're going to talk about today, I knew him as, you know, one of the figures that are really prominent in the game of lacrosse, in particular over the border, okay, up in Six Nations. He is, you know, one of the mainstays. And I have to mention that he's a part of an amazing podcast that I really want to encourage people to go and check out, the Creators Game podcast, which is being hosted up on the Six Nations territory. This gentleman is one of the mainstays on there. And, you know, just really want to give a big shout out to that podcast. I think they're doing amazing work. I think, you know, and to their credit, you know, Six Nations really has the goods. You know, I mean, they have all levels of teams, you know, from the minors programs up into the pros. And we're better to have a lacrosse program come out of and a lacrosse, you know, podcast come out of other than Six Nations. So hats off to them. I think they're doing great. I love, you know, catching any of their clips and things like that. But I also, you know, occasionally can tune in and actually sit through an entire podcast. And I think they do a great job. I mean, I love the people that they bring in, the guests that they bring in. It's all fantastic. And I think, you know, Dea, who is the host of that podcast, I think he does a great job. And, you know, this gentleman that I'm going to welcome in here, Jay, is an amazing, you know, voice as well. Very knowledgeable in the game of lacrosse, very knowledgeable in the community, knows the community very well of Six Nations, knows the OLA, knows all the politics of all of that. And, you know, if you want to think about a community figure, I mean, this gentleman, Jay Smith, is certainly one of those guys. Certainly somebody that I respect, somebody who I've, you know, turned to a number of times. I think anytime we ever have a conversation, it's always a great conversation. I learned so much from him. But we're not going to do a lacrosse podcast because I promised you before that I'm not going to do a lacrosse podcast until I spend as much time as I did with lacrosse in my past life. We're going to talk about some other things. And this thing in particular, man, I mean, this is something that I'm super excited to get into and talk about. I'm a little bit out of my, you know, over the skis a little bit, maybe out of my own element a little bit on this one, but I want to know more about this. So I'm going to first welcome in Jay Smith, and then we're going to welcome the topic that we're going to talk about. So please welcome yourself in, Jay. You know, maybe give yourself a little introduction as to who you are, some of your background and things like that, and then we'll go from there.
Morning, everybody. My name is Jay Smith. I'm a Mohawk from Six Nations. My Mohawk name is Await-Tarungwas. It was mentioned, I've been in lacrosse for a long time, but that's not what we're here for. Today, I come to you as a paranormal investigator.
Explain that. I mean, and I love the acronym SNIPE. Okay, so nobody's Snipe clan, right, from the group, right? But
No.
this is a different type of snipe, and we're not talking like a guy that's up on a roof trying to, sniper. We're talking snipe, and it's not the bird either, but it's like it's just an acronym SNIPE that just happens to work out. So give me the acronym. Tell me what that is.
SNIPE stands for Six Nations Investigating Paranormal Encounters, and it seemed to fit when the group was first started. Um, Everybody had an acronym. Every TV show, every group, everybody had an acronym. So that's ours. And it is, yes, SNIPE is one of our clans with our people, but it seemed to fit, and it's caught on. The group was started by Todd Thomas. The story behind how I joined was there was a contest, and there was a contest. Um, I won the contest, and the prize was to go on an investigation, have dinner, and an investigation with SNIPE. And my first paranormal investigation with the group was at the Rolling Hills Asylum in Bethany, New York.
Hmm.
And it's deemed to be one of the most haunted places in North America, if not the world. And I've been hooked ever since, and I must have did a good enough job because they kept me on. So I'm very appreciative to even have been part of that. The group jokingly says they saw that it was my name they drew and they put it back, and they drew again. But it was, I've known these guys my whole life. Todd and Trevor Thomas. Todd started the group. Trevor's his twin brother. Known him since we were like 10 or 11 years old. Other members of the group, Artie Martin, he's joined around the same time I did. I've been with the group for 10 years now. Um, Todd's children are part of the group, Todd Jr. and Tristan. And it's been about 10 years investigating. Originally we had to sneak into places, break into places to investigate them because they were boarded up houses or old abandoned buildings and stuff. And then as it people realized who we were, what we were doing, we started getting asked to investigate. We don't charge to investigate anywhere. I mean, we're definitely not in it to make money, that's for sure.
Hmm.
A lot of the equipment that is used, it can be bought, but Todd has made a lot of it. But man, some of the things that we've seen and heard and felt, you can't describe it really.
All right, so we got to unpack a little bit more of this then, because you started out as like, you went to a dinner, you went to this, paranormal experience type of place at this haunted site here in Bethany, New York.
Yeah.
So what was like what were some of the things that kind of made you a good candidate to join Snipe? I mean, like, were you like a visionary? Did you see things? Did you get, the shit scared out of you the most? Like, what happened exactly?
Well, I think on that particular night, paranormal TV shows were just starting to hit the airwaves. I think every major channel on TV had a paranormal show.
Hmm.
Um, there was a few, if you watched them, you kind of get the idea of what they want to do, what they want to catch, how they approach it, and that's all I had to go on basically. And I mean, as a people, we're spiritual anyways.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stereotypes about you see it all over social media, all these reels, all these memes, and people automatically assume that because we're indigenous or Native American that we all have some kind of gift that we can tap into.
Yeah.
I'm here to say that other than maybe the odd time getting goosebumps or you walk into a room and say, yeah, this don't feel right. I have none of that intuitiveness. I
Hmm.
can admit that.
Yep.
But there are times when I've walked in and we're like, holy geez, I got to get out of here. But on that particular night, that place scared the shit out of me. Yeah, it did. Um, like there were some places where absolutely pitch black, you couldn't see your hand in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think more so if you once you get in tune with yourself when you're doing stuff like that, it helps because now you're depending on your own senses and you've just lost one because it's so dark in there you can't see. So
Hmm.
everything else gets heightened. Um, for me, I think I just had the approach that if I'm here looking for ghosts, why should I be scared of them if I find them?
Hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes it's how you find them. Like you're not expecting it. It's People always ask, what's the scariest place I've been at?
Yeah.
It's hard to define scary because, like, are you jump scared? Did something creep you out? Did you get a weird feeling? Like, I think we've all been jump scared where you come around a corner and, you almost run into somebody that's coming around from the other side or something, and you're like, oh, geez. That's different than walking in someplace and being terrified where you're gonna cry and run out screaming.
Mhm.
That that's never happened. I'll say never happened yet. I hope it doesn't, but at the same time, if it does, I hope we catch it on film.
Well, and you mentioned something that, like, I mean, indigenous peoples, native peoples are definitely spiritual. So we do have this sort of connection to an understanding that there is other realms, there is other worlds, there are other things, other beings and people that do probably walk amongst us, right? But
Hmm.
in particular, I mean, like, you guys aren't solely focused on like native territories. You guys are going to like other buildings, communities, places, and things like that. That you're doing these investigations that have been known to have, either murders that have happened or occurred and things like that, or different sort of maybe atrocities or traumas happen in these
Hmm.
spaces. How do you choose and decide where you're going to go? But then the other thing, and I guess the other part of this question where I wanted to lead with this is like, how do you take care of yourself afterwards? Like in terms of like protection and things like that, even
Hmm.
first going
Yeah.
in and also coming out.
Um, as a group, like, it's might sound strange, but as a group, we take care of ourselves individually.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one of the things that I like to tell people if we're investigating someplace and it's outside of our community, because we get asked a lot of times, if there's anything here, will you help us? Will you help us clear? Will you help us clean the property, so to speak? And my response is no,
Hmm.
because that's not something that I do.
Mhm.
I don't feel, there's people in our community that have those abilities.
Yeah.
I don't. So if I say to you, well, this is what I would do or how I would clean this place or whatever, everybody wants to smudge their house. Everybody wants to get sage. Everybody wants, okay, fine. If that works for you, go ahead.
Yeah.
But my thought on it is I will burn our medicines. I will say my prayers to take care of me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to advise you to do it because if it doesn't work, you're not going to attack me.
Sure.
You're going to attack my beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So if we're outside our community, if they say, can you clean our property? Can you clean our house? Can whatever your belief is, you go reach out to those people and get them to do it. If you're Catholic, go search out a priest.
Hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
A lot of people do buy sage, and to me, it's over commercialized as one of our medicines.
Sure.
I don't think you should personally. I don't think you should use anything that you had to buy in a store.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you see, you can buy smudging kits on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think like abalone shells are going extinct because of those types of things.
oh,
Yeah.
100%. But as we get outside of our community, and first of all, I do want to say that we would love to investigate in other Native communities and other Indigenous communities. We love that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Builds a camaraderie. We run into other Indigenous or other Native American paranormal investigators, so we swap tricks of the trade kind of thing. But as far as doing this outside of our communities, as a group, I will mention that as SNIPE, um, we will pretty much go wherever we're asked. The thing about it is, if we're going to do it like somebody's home, if we're going to do a residential place, we need 2 or 3 nights. Doesn't have to be in a row, but we would like 2 or 3 nights just for the sole fact that you can't turn paranormal on or off.
Yeah.
It doesn't act on cue. We need a few nights just to see if we can catch anything. If it's like a commercial building, somebody's business, somebody's place of employment, um, same thing. But we understand that you're pressed for time, especially if it's a business that's open 9 to 5, 5 days a week.
Hmm.
So there's sometimes we can get to it, sometimes we can't. We try to study the history. Myself personally, I don't want to know about a place until I'm on my way there. So that way, if you send me 3 or 4 pages of it, of experiences that have happened in a certain spot. Now I'm kind of leaning towards
Gotcha.
that. I'm looking for Joe the ghost who knocks on the wall at 3 o'clock every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if I don't know that until I'm on my way there, then everything's fresh.
Yeah.
Um, Now, having said that, we are on a TV show now. SNIPE is the cast of a TV show called Ghost Hunters of the Grand River.
Hmm.
Um,
And you're into
as
what
far as
season number 4 right now, and
season,
wrapping on 5?
yeah, season 4 is on the air. We're wrapping on season 5. Actually, in a few days from us sitting here having this discussion, I'll be wrapping season 5.
Wow.
But because it's a TV show that has its own. We have our own production company. Researchers, they'll reach out to us and say any place you guys feel like you want to investigate. But research and production do their own, and they find us spots too. And now we're getting to a point where places contact the network or production and say, Can you film an episode here? Can
Mm,
you come to us? So that's why we get so many outside of our community that are on TV.
yeah.
Um, and it's been a great ride. Our people don't get this kind of opportunity.
It is
Um,
amazing. I mean, I'm definitely excited for it and interested in it. Unfortunately, it's not over here on this side of the line. Like we don't. I was hard pressed to find anything other than reels and just sort of snippets and things like that. And to be honest, I didn't realize that this was even happening. But yesterday, for some reason, on my feed, I get a feed of this whole thing, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, that's Jay. And so I was like, I know him. So like, I had to like reach out right away, and I wanted to know like what the hell is going on here. So it's gone. It's flown pretty much under the wire on this side of the line. I mean, for my knowledge and experience and things like that. But as soon as I heard about it, and as soon as I kind of like I did a deep dive as much as I could yesterday, trying to find reels, things like that. I have to say that creepy white Victorian houses seem to be the most haunted. So I don't know if that's your experience.
well, we do a lot of theaters as well. I mean, like I can send you a couple of pictures that we got in a theater. Blows your mind.
Really?
Um, Having said that, we are on APTN,
Yeah.
APTN Plus. That's a streaming channel,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
and Apple TV. Now, I don't know whether I should be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyways. I know of at least one person in the U.S. who is watching us on APTN Plus,
Okay.
because when you're filling out whatever you got to fill out, name, address, blah blah blah. There's one link there that says pick a country.
Mm, yep.
Even though he lives in Tennessee, he clicked Canada
Yep.
and he's still able to watch it.
I think with like VPNs and things like that, I think you can kind of change your location and stuff like that. So that might be a
Yeah.
possibility. I don't have a VPN, but I know that I've heard that about other things that like you can get different sort of broadcasts from different countries. I think you can get like Hulu Canada and stuff like that from like
Hmm.
the VPN or whatever. So that'd be interesting to explore and check out.
Well,
So
I know that our show has been it's been sold to different countries around the world.
hmm
Um, there is a there's for those that don't know, APTN in Canada is Aboriginal People's Television Network.
yep.
It's strictly all Indigenous shows, Indigenous based, everything. Now there is a network in the U.S. that is the same.
I have the app actually. I tried to look it up last night on that because I have the app for them. I'll give them a shout out. There's the FNX. Is that the
Yes.
yeah? So
So
FNX Network, which is an app.
we're trying to get our producer. He said he wants to look into.
Syndicating
Um,
with them.
yeah, he wants to sell the show to them. That way we get a bigger audience.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, between the TV show and between the Creators Game podcast, sometimes going out in public is a challenge. I mean, I try to stay humble about it because without people watching, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Mm.
So I do try to stay as humble as possible. I'll give you a prime example. I don't know if you've heard of Sean Leonard. He's from Nova Scotia. He's a psychic medium. He has a show on APTN as well. It's called Spirit Talker.
Hmm.
Um, we've collaborated, kind of had crossover shows where he's come and filmed with us, and he also goes around the country and puts on shows. So he'll have a live audience. He'll do live readings with the audience. stuff like that. So a few weeks ago, I went to one of his shows. There was myself and I didn't know that one of our other members, Tristan, I didn't know she was going to be there. We ended up sitting like one row behind each other. But Sean said, from Ghost Hunters of the Grand River, Tristan and Jay are here. So we waved to the crowd. But when I was going in, before any of that even happened, when I got there and I was going in, there were people that recognized me from the show and literally come running through the lobby, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. But again, you don't turn them away. I mean, without you don't piss off the fans because you lose your fan base, you have no show.
Sure, absolutely.
So and after Sean had recognized us, and I was very grateful for that because I mean he's known world around the world. So for
Mm,
him to acknowledge us, it was great. But when we were leaving, we had fans waiting for us outside as well.
nice.
So it was humbling. It's always humbling when we go out and people recognize us. So it's you got posed for pictures sometimes, the odd autograph. It's fun. It's how will I put it? I think the best one for me was a little boy in Walmart,
Hmm.
and I said to him, "I want you to understand that I shop at the same stores as you do. I'm not some big superstar.
Yep.
I'm just me."
Yep.
And he was pretty cool with that. Got a high five, got a picture with him. Everything was good.
So I mean, like career wise, prior to this move, I mean, like what were you doing before that? I mean, in terms of like work and stuff like that. That I mean, this has to be a big shift because, like I said, I knew you as a community guy, as a coach, as a GM, as a player, things like that. Of the game
Hmm.
of lacrosse. And now to like this is a pretty big jump to go from that to to television and things like that. But in between there, like you had a day job, you had a life and things like that, and you're a family man and things. So tell me about that a little bit.
Well, I was always in, probably for the last about 15 years, I was in the social service field.
Okay.
I was a youth counselor. I was an addictions counselor. I worked in a provincial jail. I worked in corrections here.
Hmm.
I worked in the Ontario Court of Justice. Um, and then when the TV show hit, um, when it started to take off, there's film dates. I got to be on the road traveling.
Yeah.
A few of the places were treated me well, where I could leave the job for a little while and come back to it. I mean, there was jobs that I left after filming season, just because I was, it's time to move on kind of thing.
Sure.
There were places that I really loved the job, but sometimes the inner workings of an agency don't always click, so you have to leave whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And there was some places I really enjoyed working in the Ontario Court of Justice as an indigenous criminal court worker,
Hmm.
but there was stuff going on at the agency that I had no control over. So I decided that it would probably be best if I left,
Yeah.
and I did. I mean, I have no regrets over leaving, but it was a great place to work. Um, the last job I had was with a land-based community. Um, so basically, we offered land-based teachings and stuff like that to the community.
Hmm.
But we started filming season 5 a lot earlier than we usually do. We usually start filming in November and go to March.
Hmm.
So it's not 7 days a week. It's not 5 days a week. It's sporadic. I think there's 39 days that we actually film,
Yeah.
and we film 13 episodes.
Hmm.
So there might be, if we have to leave the province, there's a good stretch of about 10 or 11 days where we're gone, and then get home and have 2 or 3 weeks off, and then 4 days on the road somewhere else, 8 days here, 2 days there. So it's scattered all over, but course of about 5 months, 5 6 months, squeeze those 39 film dates in. Work has been pretty generous with allowing me to have time off and stuff like that, but generally, if I have to take a leave, they're pretty flexible with it. The last job I had there with a land-based place, because we started so early, we started in August this year, and that was our own fault for being spoiled brats because we had to go. We've been to Manitoba twice to film, and it's absolutely freezing there in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So we told them we're not going there in the winter anymore,
Yeah.
and so they sent us in August. And that's why we're wrapping up so early now, because we usually go November to March or so.
Mhm.
Now we started in August and we're done in December.
Nice.
So I'm going to take a few days after we get done filming, rest up. But I've had quite a few days off in between where I'm able to catch up. I still do family stuff. I'm still involved with the game of lacrosse. Like
Yep.
I was at the arena last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there's still a lot going on, keep me busy. But yeah, I'll be back to work hopefully after Christmas.
And kind of give me a little bit of a layout of like the land in terms of like the community of Six Nations. I mean, because there's people who are familiar, obviously, but I have other listeners and things like that. But I mean, Six Nations is unique in the fact that like there is a conglomeration of like all Six Nations that do live in one community, and it's my understanding it's one of the largest Indigenous First Nations communities in Canada, right? So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Six Nations as a whole, it's last I knew, it was the largest population wise
Yeah.
in Canada,
Yep.
and for a long time it was probably area wise too. But I know that there are First Nations in the prairie provinces that have gotten land back over the years, and they're huge area wise. Just population's a lot smaller, so we're the most populous uh, First Nations community in Canada.
Yeah.
There is representation from each of our Six Nations in our community. Mohawk, Cayuga, Onondaga, Oneida, Seneca, Tuscarora. We have all of them.
Yep.
Seems to be predominantly a Mohawk and Cayuga community, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's everybody's there. There's tacked on to our community is Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation.
Yep.
So there's it's literally a very small, and their original homelands were most of Ontario.
Yeah.
So now there's still a few Mississauga or Anishinaabe communities throughout, but Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation is tacked onto ours. If anybody that's been to the Iroquois Lacrosse Arena, quite literally across the road from there is Mississauga of the Credit First Nation. So it's right there.
Wow.
But yeah, as far as our community goes, most populous, there's quite a few dollars in the community.
Yeah.
We have a traditional council, and we have an elected government system too as well. So we have elected council and a traditional council. I know that from a traditional standpoint, there's a lot of decisions that are made in Six Nations, and there's a lot that are made in Onondaga as well.
Yeah.
So I know they're back and forth, a lot of communication there. I recently just started myself getting back, trying to find my way, so to speak, from a traditional standpoint.
Hmm.
Started going to Longhouse when I can.
Yep.
I won't get into it here, but there was a big reason why I didn't go for a long time. It, After a while, it just became personal preference of mine. But I was very turned off when I was younger at going.
Sure.
But I mean, I realize now that and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. But for me, I have to understand that I'm going there for me
Yep.
and not for anybody else.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, what happened was I was told I didn't belong
Mm,
when I was like 21,
gotcha.
and I just thought, I'm not here to appease or please anybody but myself.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's baby steps. I've been to Longhouse like 3 times for clan meetings, for stuff like that. So it's baby steps for me, but it's something that I feel I need to do at this point in my life. So.
Sure. And from like a spirituality standpoint, I mean, and the work that you're doing with the paranormal and things like that, is it something that you feel a little bit more comforted with and things like that, that it kind of helps you and kind of like grounds you a little bit in terms of like, having that spirituality, but then also this connection to like the other side, I guess.
It's funny because we get a lot of elders in our community who are traditional,
Yeah.
and they'll say to us, you shouldn't be looking for stuff like that.
Yep.
That's not our ways.
Yeah.
But in the same sentence, they're like, but did you find anything?
Yeah.
So they're just as interested and intrigued. I mean, I get it. They're going to chastise me for doing it, but at the same time, they want to know as well. So yeah, it does help me personally and stay grounded. Even I have family in Victoria, British Columbia. My aunt out there gave me a necklace, and I can't remember the name of the wood that's used in making it, but she said this some of the beads, the wooden beads on this necklace were what they use out there for protection.
Mm.
And she said that the necklace has been put through. She saw me on season one, saw me on TV, and said she knew that she had to give me this necklace. It's been put through ceremony. It's got a bear tooth on it in the middle, and she said this. I put this through ceremony for you to protect you. So wear this when you are going to some place that might be a little more heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when we're investigating, a former jail or something like that, I wear it.
Yeah.
So there's elders, they do help. Trying to find my way back traditionally is helping keep me grounded. But at the same time, I try not to let it get to my head, so to speak, where I think I'm bulletproof.
Yeah.
People do ask if anything attaches to us and follows us home and stuff.
Yep.
I'm gonna knock on wood and say not yet.
Yeah.
I did have a scare. Funny story I'll share with you. We were investigating a place in Brantford, Ontario, not far from the Mohawk Institute, the residential school. And there was some weird stuff going on. We were basically outside, and there was some weird stuff that happened. We were walking. I'm going to say we probably walked about 20-25 minutes, and we didn't come out of this forest where I thought we should have.
Hmm.
We had no explanation as to why we came out where we did, because where we came out was literally only about 20 feet from where we went in.
So it's
So
some sort of vortex that you guys walked into, or?
that's the best I can explain it is something like that, because we went in and walked straight for 20-25 minutes, and I'm kind of a tall person. I got longer legs. A 20-minute walk for me is usually close to a mile.
Yeah.
And we came out, there was five of us. We came out of that forest, and we were literally only about 20 or 25 feet from where we went in.
Oh, wow.
And like we came out, and I was like, that shouldn't, we could see a building with these big lights. I'm like, that shouldn't be there. What is that?
Hmm.
And we were disoriented, and after looking around, I'm like, we only went in like right there.
Hmm.
That building was to our back when we went in. So we went in, and yeah, 25 feet or so. We're like, where the hell are we? So we couldn't figure out why we walked as long as we did, and it only went 20 feet. Um, so the next morning, and before I get into that part, when we were leaving this place, we saw a car slow down. It pulled in. We saw a guy get out and digging in his back seat, and we're kind of hiding. We're like, what the hell's going on? Guy walks over, puts something up in a tree, and pulled out. We're like, what the hell was that?
Hmm.
So I tried to remember what make and color of the car was. It was dark out, but under the street lights, I could see the color. So the next morning or that night when I got home, I'm texting texting my friends, texting family, and I'm like, "Do you know anybody that drives this type of car, this color? This is what the guy looked like. I could only make out his silhouette in the dark, but this is what he looked like."
Hmm.
And we narrowed it down to yes. We figured out who it was, and people were like, "That guy's kind of strange, anyways."
Hmm.
So like, okay, well, I don't know what he was doing. So I went to bed. I got up the next morning, and on the back of one of my dining room chairs was hair, like long, like clumps
Yeah.
hanging over the back of my dining room chair. And I come out of the bedroom, I saw that, and I was like, "What the hell is that? And where did it come from?" So I was scared. I was freaking out. I was texting all the guys in SNIPE, and I'm like, "This is what I woke up to. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. I'm not touching it. I got to get it out of here somehow." And I'm like, "Oh, geez, now I got to try to call somebody. We got to figure out what this is, why it's here.
Yeah.
Probably got to come up with some kind of ceremony to protect me now.
Yep.
How did it get in the house?" So I wake up, my son, like I said, this hair's long. It's a foot or so long or longer, big clumps of it draped over the back of the chair.
Ooh,
like somebody snipped a ponytail off and sat it there.
wow.
I wake my son up and I'm like, you got to come and see this. I don't know what happened. This is what happened last night. I get home, I go to bed, I get up, and this is hanging on the back of the chair. Like it's freaking me out. Like, you got to get up.
Hmm.
He comes out and he's rubbing his eyes and he goes, oh, yeah, my buddy was over. I gave him my haircut last night. I like, why didn't you clean it up then? So yeah, that kind of highly coincidental that happened
Yeah.
the same night that I can't explain why I only walked. It took me 20 minutes, 25 minutes to walk 20 feet. I don't know, but so that time, yeah, I was scared.
Yeah.
But I guess the moral of the story is there's likely a reasonable explanation for everything. When we do investigate, we're all skeptics,
Hmm.
so we're more gadget related as far as the way we're going to gather evidence. Like we've heard stuff with our own ears, we've seen stuff with our eyes. You get the you get the everybody captures orbs. It seems that everybody that does any kind of paranormal investigation, whether they're filming with high tech cameras or their phone, they'll catch orbs.
Yeah.
And I'll go on the record in saying most of it is probably dust.
Hmm. Okay.
Like, but we've caught some that are weird shaped. We've caught orbs that change direction. One of the biggest arguments I have with myself right now is when we're filming at night, we set up security cameras. They
Hmm.
have infrared.
Yep.
So in infrared, the color changes. So if you're wearing a black shirt in the dark on infrared, the shirt looks white.
Okay.
So when we're capturing orbs on this on our infrared cameras, are they actually white
Hmm.
or are they dark and they look light because of the infrared light?
Yep. Yep.
So there's a specific camera I mostly use when we're investigating. It's started out as an SLS camera, structured light sensor.
Okay.
What it does is it shoots out a grid. If it picks up any kind of energy or a body figure, it bounces back. So if I'm filming you, I'll see you, but this camera will also put a stick figure on you.
So does that have like sort of like a heat sensor or something like that on it, or how's it triggered, or how's it function?
Well, basically what it is, do you remember what was it? There was a game system out that had a little camera that sat in front of your TV,
Oh yeah.
and you could make your own avatar, so you
Okay.
could participate in the games.
Yep. Yep.
That's what it is. There's a
Okay.
Microsoft Xbox or something like that.
Yep.
So that's what it does is shoot that grid out, and then it bounces back with a stick person.
Hmm.
Now, if I'm filming you and I know you're there, it'll show your outline, it'll show your body outline, but there will be a stick figure on you.
Gotcha.
So the theory is if that bounces back and shows me that there's a stick figure there, but there's nobody there, so then there's some kind of energy or anomaly. So I know that there's something there with me.
Yep.
Um, we've upgraded to what is called an XLS. Now it's the same thing, but it films in light in 3D and lidar.
Okay.
So if I was on scanning, it'll show it'll show the everything in there in 3 dimensions. Also, it'll show because it's taking a 3D uh, view of the whole room. If I'm filming and there's a pillar standing in my way, it's already filmed what's on the other side of that. So I'll basically see through the pillar, so I know what's on the other side too.
Hmm.
And that too will put a stick figure on. So there's been a lot of times when I've caught this, but because of with the newer technology with the XLS, now what I'm catching also is black orbs.
Hmm.
So it goes back to the theory: are orbs white, or do they appear white because of the infrared camera, but they're actually dark?
Gotcha. So in terms of like, where do you purchase this type of equipment and like who's turning the stuff out? Like who's making this stuff? And what are the practical applications besides paranormal activity?
Um, Well, LiDAR, obviously, that wasn't a paranormal thing.
It's
That
like
was
ground
invented.
penetrating, right?
Yeah, that was invented for other things.
Yep.
Our producer, he has a family member who's into real estate, and he will take a LiDAR camera and film the whole property
Hmm.
uh, for real estate purposes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of functions for that. A lot of the equipment we use, some of it has been bought. There's paranormal investigator websites. Um, a lot of them too are somebody's building these gadgets in their house.
Yeah.
To start a website, they'll build you one. A lot of the stuff seems to come from the UK if you want it pre-built.
Hmm.
But I mean, you can go on Amazon and buy a K2 meter for under $20. K2 meter, basically, you go in and scan the house, and it'll let you know if there's electromagnetic fields. Now, electromagnetic fields are almost like food to a spirit or an entity or a ghost because it needs that energy to manifest, to do whatever, communicate. What we get a lot of times too is, especially in businesses, if you go in with a K2 meter and take a, a, a reading of the whole place to find out where there's electromagnetic fields. Your cell phone will give off an electromagnetic field. If you buy a fuse box, it'll do the same thing. So what happens is a lot of times, the theory is these electromagnetic fields will make you, if you're exposed to it for a long time, it'll make you feel nauseous. It'll give you the sense of a little bit of paranoia, like somebody's watching you. You can feel this or that.
Hmm.
Um, it'll cause you to hear things. So it's not something good. It's almost like, if you're around a nuclear reactor for too long. So what we found is a lot of places like the very first episode that we shot at was in a bar, and the staff said that they had a lot of paranormal experiences in the basement
Hmm.
in one particular office. So we went in this office, and there's a fuse box, and every wire running through the whole building came through that fuse box.
Gotcha.
And so we checked it for EMF, and that thing was like the reading went through the roof.
Yep.
It was like 600 or 700 as far as, your cell phone might give you, I don't know, 40,
Yeah.
a reading of 40.
Yep. Yep.
So we're like, well, that might be your cause. Why you're feeling this? Why you're feeling that? And so for some people, they might not buy it. They might not believe it. They're like, nope, that's not what's giving me this sensation. Something's here.
But
Okay, so
I think you're right. I mean, like, I don't think that we're in tune with frequencies, as much. I mean, like, when they were talking about uh, cell phones and things like that going onto like a 5G, and like they were talking that there was a potential that it was going to throw off like the systems for like birds and things like that to be able to understand like how they can like where they migrate to and things like that. And I don't
mhm,
think that the average lay person, when they're sold these types of, life's modern conveniences of like a cell phone or whatever else, they're not really in tune with like the frequencies as to like what these things run on and what they do, how they affect, like lower, maybe kind of smaller insects and beings and things like that, and how they're affected by those things. So when you go and sit next to some like transformer box like that, and you're exposed to that, like for prolonged periods of time and stuff like that, that's amazing. I would have never, ever even kind of put that together. So I mean, thank you for sharing that. But you're right. I think that's really something that people have just kind of lost touch with, and I think that as well I think that people also probably had certain types of understandings, or at least sort of like were more in tune because there was less traffic in the air prior. Where now
mhm,
there's so much
mhm,
satellite, there's so much radio, there's so much television, all these other frequencies that are out there that like we've pretty much lost our ability to kind of like track and navigate or even have sort of like these intuitions into like, spaces and things like that where there could be like higher concentrations of like electromagnetic activity and stuff like that that like
mhm,
our people traditionally or maybe even just human beings in general would have been attracted to or understood or knew that like, oh, there's something over there, there's some sort of a power or some sort of a energy
mhm.
field that's in that space. So that's interesting.
Well, one thing, and I mean, it goes back to way before there was any type of electric gadgets and all this stuff. Is one of the first things we ask when we're investigating an old building is what is it made out of?
Hmm.
And most of the times, these old buildings are made out of limestone.
Hmm.
And limestone is an energy conductor.
The conductor. Hmm.
Limestone, water, they're kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
There's one building we investigated. Actually, it's the next episode coming out next week, in Cambridge, Ontario, the old library, and it's like the Grand River basically touches that building. It's so close,
Hmm.
and the building's made out of 90% limestone.
Hmm.
So, and limestone again is an energy conductor. So it people believe too that it hangs on. It stores energy. So oftentimes, what theoretically ghosts or spirits are usually in these old buildings because they're trapped in the limestone.
Gotcha.
So, and again, that goes back to how far back do we go as a people?
Hmm.
Limestone, that building could have been built, it is built out of limestone that's thousands of years old.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. When we go out, but we always ask, is there any indigenous or Native American ties to this building, this property, whatever? And oftentimes we get not to our knowledge. However, this used to be the territory of these people or these people. And I'm like, okay, so you don't know what was here 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And if this building's 100 years old, you don't know what was there 100 years prior to that.
Yep.
Like there's spots, I'm sure there's spots everywhere. I mean, I tell people every building has at least one story.
Hmm.
That's my thoughts on it. Is every building has at least one. Like where I live right now, this building is on this house is only 2 years old.
Hmm.
Um, People ask me all the time, "Is there something at your house?" Yeah, I don't know what was here before this house was built.
Hmm.
And I'm in the city of Brantford, and I literally live 3 blocks from the residential school.
Hmm.
So what's to say something hasn't found its way here?
Yep.
Like we don't know what before any of these houses were built. We don't know what was here. Well, I do know historically that the last Mohawk village was not far from here, less than a mile.
Hmm.
So what was right here, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then that kind of helps explain things like an intelligent spirit or ghost or a residual.
Hmm.
So, like right now, if my routine was at 12 o'clock every day, I got up and I went out in the backyard and I stretched and I had a cigarette. I don't smoke right now, but if that was my routine for 30 years and I passed away suddenly, my spirit may still do that.
Huh.
It may still do that every day at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Now, what's to say somebody doesn't build something else 75 years from now? And now it looks like my spirit is walking right through the wall to go outside.
Hmm.
That's the pattern I took. That's the route I took. The theory too also is that ghosts or spirits are on a different plane or level.
Hmm.
That's why it looks like we're floating,
Yep.
is because they're on a different plane or a different level.
Hmm.
I got one for you. There's a theory. I saw this video and we've talked about it as a group. I was watching this video and these guys were doing a paranormal investigation, and we do the same thing. Well, like it'll be what year is it? What year did you die?
Hmm.
I was watching this video of these guys doing a paranormal investigation, and they said, "What year is it?" And the answer they got back was like 2056.
Hmm.
And so now the guys are like, maybe we're the ghosts.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that have that theory and the idea that maybe this is a simulation. What is this? What are we experiencing, and how much of this stuff? I mean, I'm really kind of fixed on that. What you're saying is that, these energies that, like, us as, like, beings, as people, have this energy of, like, maybe you're traveling, maybe you're doing different things, these routines then do leave some sort of like a footprint, or at least leave,
Mhm.
leave some sort of like a, metadata, I guess. I don't know what you would call that, but like there's something that's out there that could be captured in time or stuck in space or stuck in one of these things.
Hmm.
And that's interesting. I've never even really kind of thought, that that could be the case. Or and again, going back to what you were talking about, like the energies and things of like limestones and different materials and things like that being conductors and how we all interact. I mean, again, it just goes back to like how much we really don't know. I mean, because the big question still is like, how do they build the pyramids? In Egypt and things like that. And I believe that those are like limestone stones and rock and stuff like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Was it a capability that like they were able to, like, by using water, like you said, able to energize those stones enough to be able to push and move and do different things, and that they were talking about those things being like conductors as well, and some sort of
Hmm.
like an energy, or like even like an energy station, or like a charging station of some sort, so I don't know. I mean, I'm getting out there in the weeds a little bit, but with this type of stuff, like you have to kind of explain, or have to start to try to like explain some of the possibilities, or even explore some of the possibilities as to like how and why these things happen. And I don't know. I mean, like, do you lay awake at night thinking like, what did I just see? And you're trying to like, unpack that in your head, because does every episode that you guys have, does it end with a resolution, or is it, or how does it kind of end up that like, all right, yeah, we acknowledge the fact that something's over there, and it's up to them kind of to like figure out now how to like move forward with it.
Sort of, yeah. Like it's funny you mentioned the pyramids because just yesterday I saw a video, a brief video that I was just kind of listening to in the background, and it said that there's a theory that the pyramids were actually nuclear reactors,
So,
natural, nuclear reactors.
huh?
So again, did they build these to kind of harness whatever energies are in the earth?
Yep.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, some places are do seem like why do some places why are they more haunted than others?
Mm,
Why is that?
yep.
Gettysburg, prime example.
Yeah.
Um, Todd, founder of S.N.I.P.E, has been to Gettysburg more than once.
Hmm.
He said you can feel it, but there was just to me there was just so much death that happened so quickly there. Like those ghosts or spirits may not even know they're dead. Like there's been people have caught video of whole platoons still marching.
Hmm.
So do they know they're dead? Are they on a continual loop? Is it residual? They just keep doing the same thing?
Hmm.
Because you did, like I said, you get intelligent spirits that will communicate with you. Like, can you say my name? Well, I've had my name said many times, caught it on voice recorder. We have another gadget that we use. It's called, Todd named it a portal.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't know if you've ever seen a spirit box, small transistor radio, goes through the channels super duper quick. So that way, if a radio station, if a song comes through, it's just a blip because it's going so fast.
Hmm.
You get in your vehicle, the old school stereos that had a seek and a scan button,
Yep.
where if you hit them, it just went through the stations really quick.
Yeah.
It does. That's what it's doing.
So it's just trying to find
So
frequency, right, and something that they can.
yeah,
Okay.
basically, it's white noise that's going.
Yep.
There's been many times when we've got voices over that have responded to questions that we've asked.
Hmm.
So what Todd has did, and you can buy them, you can buy the kits to make them yourself. Is he's connected that to a small guitar amp with a couple of effects pedals. One is to take out background noise, and the other one kind of reverb amps up what you do here. And then he's got another gadget where the connected to it that'll play back. So if we hear something, we can stop it. It'll play back, and we hear it again.
Hmm.
And many times we've had conversations with something.
Hmm.
We've heard male, female, we've heard multiple, like we've heard two or three different male voices in one setting. We've heard male, female, we've heard kids. So we're getting actual voices over this that is responding to our questions intelligently. Like one of the first things we say is, "Can you say one of our names?" Todd's pretty simple to say. Jay's pretty simple to say. Trevor's pretty simple to say. But we've had something say Tristan.
Like a two-syllable type of.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
we've had we've had whole sentences said.
Hmm.
Then another gadget or another tool, so to speak. Um, some people call it the Estes method. We call it sensory deprivation. So basically, put headphones on you and a blindfold, but the headphones were pumping white noise into your headphones.
Hmm.
And so we're whoever is under, we tell them whatever you hear on there, just blurt it out. So then we sit there and ask questions. We talk very quietly and ask questions. And the theory is ghost or spirit will answer through the headphones. So then our people are blurting out what they hear. We've got intelligent answers. We've been swore at. We I remember one time through a voice, just through our little spirit box. I remember sitting down at the table. We were at the Sanderson Center here in Brantford, Ontario. And I said, "My name's Jay. I come with respect. I just want to communicate. Is there anybody here that wants to talk?" And what I got was, "Fuck you."
You've heard that enough in arenas before. I mean, it's
I,
nothing new.
Nothing new. No skin off my ass when I got that. But I was like, okay, so maybe this person or maybe this thing doesn't want to communicate with me. That was fine. But yeah, like we've gotten intelligent responses. We've been swore at. We've got our names said. The Grand River Employment and Training Building on Six Nations. Season one, episode one, we were very proud that we were on TV. So we put on a big I think it was 2 or 3 night premiere. So what we did is we rented out the theater in this building.
Hmm.
We sold tickets. We presented evidence that we've gathered over years of investigating. And then for the grand finale, we showed our episode on the big screen.
Hmm.
So part of that episode is we introduced the sensory deprivation to the audience. We got audience members to participate. And the way we had the audio hooked up is the noise, the white noise is being pumped into the earphones, but we also had it hooked up that it was going over the sound system. So people in the audience could also hear what that person was hearing.
Wow.
And I said, "Can you tell me my name?" And it took 2 nights, but something said my first, middle, and last name.
Hmm.
And the guys in the group didn't even know my first name's not Jay. That's my middle name.
Hmm.
People didn't even know my first name, but something in there did.
Hmm.
So then the theory comes, is there something following me?
Hmm.
Our S.N.I.P.E leader, Todd, no matter where we go, we always get Todd.
Yeah.
We always get that. So then now we're thinking, is something following him?
Hmm.
Um, don't really want to even put that out there because one, if there's something following him, that's for him to deal with.
Sure.
But from a television standpoint, there was already a paranormal show based on one spirit following a guy, no matter where he went. And we don't want to go down that road because then it looks like we're copying.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So yeah, it's sometimes, we get people who are the bravest person, I can do that. That ain't going to scare me. Get them on a location or come on an investigation 10 minutes in and they're like, I got to go home.
Hmm.
They're just that scared. Gone.
Well, now here's a question then. I mean, because we do have people in our communities that are kind of
Mm-hmm.
connected in that way, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
seers. There's people that are seers that are, people that kind of work in that sort of space and things like that. Have you been able to bring any of them on, with you that have, you don't have to get into particulars or details or anything like that, but has there been a moment where like you brought a seer in where they kind of got like some sort of a sense that something was there?
We've worked with quite a few actually. We worked with some that were from our own community. We worked with some from outside the community. There always seems to be a time where maybe whatever was there didn't want to cooperate. Prime example is we worked with this one woman. She was usually about 95% spot on with things.
Mm,
We've taken her to the residential school, spot on.
mm,
There was stuff that we knew that we didn't tell her. She hit it out of the park 100%.
wow.
Um, but then take her to a spot where we're going to film an episode, and she started making things up.
Huh.
So if something wasn't coming through that night, just say that
Hmm.
because now you've tarnished your own reputation and made us look like a fool because we were going to put you on camera and put you on TV,
Yeah.
and then you ruined that. We worked with people from our own community, and a lot of times they'll say like I'll help you, but I don't want to get into it too much because one, they don't want to glorify themselves, which is very humbling, and
Sure.
we appreciate that.
Sure.
They don't want to draw attention. Some of them, it seems the ones that are more genuine are probably the best ones we've worked with because they don't want the exposure.
Yep.
Whereas you get some like this is my bread and butter kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it seems no matter what's going on, they're going to find something because that's what they've been brought in to do.
Yep.
We had another a non-native, a non-indigenous medium that we also took to the residential school. Again, didn't tell her anything. And the stuff she come up with, we were like, yeah, get out of here.
Really?
Oh, it was like she said, oh, I see children running and they're so happy and this was a joyous place. And we're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
We know that was 100% a lie.
Huh.
So yeah, stuff like that. We're like, no, yeah, we're done with you kind of thing. That was another thing too. Another reason why I didn't want the too much info because you get if we're on a long car ride to go to a location that's 4 hours away and you happen to be riding with and say we bring a medium, if you're riding with them and you get talking about what's expected, how do we know that they're not going to deep dive and say, oh, I feel this or see that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that sounds like what I just read about this place too. So did you just read it?
Yeah. Yep.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, we do have people. I was in a relationship for over 2 years with um, a medium, and she was very good at what she did, but she did it more so from a Western based style than traditionally.
Yeah.
Like she would do readings in our community, but wouldn't offer because I know a lot of people will go to a seer to try to help to try to figure out what they can do to help themselves.
Sure.
She didn't do those types of readings.
Hmm.
She said she didn't want to because she did. In her defense, she said herself, "I didn't have the knowledge to be able to recommend what you needed to do
Yeah.
if I saw something that you maybe needed to fix."
Yep. How do I prescribe for
And
that or whatever? Yeah.
yeah, and sometimes that's what people are looking for.
Yep.
And that's not mine to dabble in, and she realized that wasn't hers either.
Yeah.
So she did it more from a Western approach of, like something you can get online.
Hmm.
Actually, she does group readings online,
Hmm.
which is fine. And I said to her, like, do you ever want to come with us? And she went to a couple locations, but she wouldn't join us in the investigation. Um, funny story. We went to one of these old Victorian houses,
Yep.
um, and it was a boutique bed and breakfast. And so we got there, and our director's like, "We're gonna put a camera in your room tonight. You're staying in the most haunted room tonight." I'm like,
Nice.
"Okay, cool, but I want you to know my girlfriend's coming later. She's gonna stay overnight. Well, she's gonna join us." He's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I said, "Why didn't you tell me that I was gonna be in this room?"
Hmm.
So we had to swap rooms. We put Trevor in that room, in the most haunted room, which paid off because they were watching on camera and there was orbs everywhere in his room.
Hmm.
But um, my girlfriend and I were put in a different room, and she woke me up in the middle of the night and she said, "There's somebody standing at the end of the bed."
Uh,
And I said, still half sleep. I said, "Well, I'm glad I kept my underwear on." And I went back to sleep. But in the morning time, she said there was two people standing beside our bed, and she described them, and they were the two ghosts that we were told are seen throughout that whole house.
hmm.
So I was like, "Well, what did they want?" She goes, "They were just being curious."
Hmm.
But she saw them,
Wow.
and we told our producers the next day. We're like, "Yeah, she saw these ghosts that we were here looking for. They were in our room last night."
Hmm.
Well, we should have put a no. You shouldn't have put a camera in there.
Man. So, I mean, takeaways from all this. I mean, because like you said, I mean, like even yourself, you were a skeptic of all of this stuff. I mean, like, are you comforted to know that there's things that are out there? Are you like, how do you feel in terms of like now that you've seen and experienced some of these things? what are sort of the things that you want to kind of take away from that in terms of like, well, how do I now live my life? Like, I mean, because all right, maybe the show dries up, whatever. You guys kind of move back into like, you know, you're a civilian again. Like,
Hmm.
what does that then do for you now having this connection and having this experience?
Um, I've thought about that a lot. People are always asking, like, what does it change the way you think? Does it change the way you feel? Does it change the way you look at death?
Hmm.
Um, Again, I'll go back to us being, as a people, we're spiritual.
Yeah.
People always ask me, what got you into being interested in the paranormal? And my response is, well, I grew up in a haunted house.
Hmm.
I thought everybody did. I thought everybody in our community grew up in a haunted house.
Yeah.
For the most part, people will say, yeah, I did. But as a child, um, I moved around a lot. It was just my mother and I for a lot of years. We moved around a lot. It was easier to read a book than it was to make friends.
Hmm.
So as soon as I got to a new school, um, library right away because I figure, I can always read.
Yep.
And being as old as I was, there was no cell phones, there was no video games, there was books. Books were your friend if you didn't have friends, kind of thing.
Yep.
Moved around a lot. We even moved to the southern U.S. For a while. So yeah, I deep dive into books, read books about ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot. That's hopefully I'm going to branch out into. Our group has participated in a little bit of a Bigfoot hunt. Todd and Trevor went on one. I'm gung ho to go. Our producer's always like, I know you want to hunt Bigfoot, so let's work on that. I don't know what direction that'll go, but that's bucket list item is Bigfoot hunt.
Well, let me just pause you real quick because you have your screen blurred, but behind you, to the right of your head, there, your right side, there's a Bigfoot that every once in a while flashes on. So,
Yeah, Sasquatch crossing right there. Yeah. Um, it's to me, that's something that I always wanted to do as a kid. I've always believed in the paranormal.
hmm
And again, because it felt like we grew up in a haunted house. I saw things as a kid, heard things as a kid. Was scared as hell to be home by myself as a kid. Teenager, young adult, you just kind of live with it.
Yep.
After a while, it's just like, oh yeah, that's just our resident boogeyman. Whatever, just don't worry about it. People, friends come over, they hear knocks, they see doors open on their own, stuff like that. So now the goal is to try to catch all that on film. Which we're doing a pretty good job of. We've caught shadow people, we've caught voices, we've heard knocks, we've had stuff move. Um, we haven't come across anything that is too, how will I put it, evil.
hmm
Knock on wood, we haven't encountered that as of yet. I say as of yet because if we do, it seems stuff like that is a little more bold. So that might be the holy grail where one of us gets shoved into. I actually did get shoved at a house. I almost got shoved down the stairs actually.
Wow.
We didn't see it, but I felt it, and the other people that were there saw me kind of fly backwards. And I must say, back in those eras, people were a lot shorter, so the railing around the stairs was barely at my hip.
Oh wow.
So I almost went over. It gives me an appreciation. It also gives me the thought that people always say some people are scared of death. I know from a family perspective, I don't ever want to leave my kids, even though they're adults. And I have grandkids now. I don't ever want to leave them, but at the same time, it almost brings me peace in knowing that I may be able to still visit them
Hmm.
after I die.
Hmm.
Now, I don't want them to be scared and think, "Oh my God, there's a ghost here," and try to bring in a priest and exorcise me out of there or anything. But it kind of gives me a comfort in knowing that maybe my loved ones that I've lost are still around.
Gotcha.
Um, Sometimes, there's things happen that you can take as a signal that yes, they're still around. Like a lot of people say, if you find a dime, it was a loved one that left it there for you.
Hmm.
Um, I've heard that since I was a child. My stepfather was, I guess you could say he was spiritual, but he would always try to delve into our traditional ways as far as how to explain it.
Yeah.
Um, but he was big on if you see a dime, it's a loved one.
Hmm.
Um, so some people, and it's not just our culture and beliefs that believe in that. I've met a lot of people from everywhere that believe in coins. If a coin shows up, it's a loved one. It's a sign. People believe butterflies are, might be that's a sign from their grandma, or their aunt, or their mom, or cardinals. People say if a cardinal visits you, it's a loved one.
Hmm.
So there's all these beliefs. To me, you interpret it. You're going to put on it whatever twist you're going to put on it.
Sure.
I mean, as long as it works for you and gives you comfort, who's to say that it's wrong?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we want to make some sort of sense of it all or make some sort of meaning out of it, when we have these experiences. And I think it's, again, that peace of mind type of thing. It's also maybe this other longing and wanting to be able to connect to the other side or connect to like past relatives and things like that. And so I think there is like a certain level of comfort in that. But really, I mean, like for you though, having like firsthand experiences and seeing and recognizing that, and that's kind of why I was kind of asking you about that is like, what where do you go from here now, and how do you move forward, having these experiences and things like that. So I think you gave a fantastic answer, and I want to welcome in our other guest here. He just joined us, which is great, and so it's Artie Martin, I believe. All
It
right.
is. Hello.
All right.
There you
Well,
go.
introduce yourself, Artie, and tell us a little bit about who you are and what your connection is to SNIPE.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Artie Martin. I'm from Six Nations. I work at an immersion school, Gawanio on Six Nations. They do Mohawk and Cougar instruction.
Yep.
Um, I do a lot of things in our community. I'm a graphic designer, and so I was fortunate to be a part of a lot of like committees and boards. Um, if you drive through Six Nations, you're going to see my artwork all over the place.
Mm,
At KT Tobacco, I did all the cast iron railing that they have in there.
mhm.
Um, the Cool Kids logo. I just like my mark has been put here, so
Nice.
I'm here.
Did you have something to do
And
with the Snipe logo?
yeah, the Snipe logo as well.
Nice.
Um,
Good.
so but and that's how I got involved with Snipe because I do have this skill set, and at the time I was learning language.
Mm,
So this is back in 2011 or 2012 or so. Um, I'm in the Mohawk immersion adult immersion program in Oswego, Ogowaneganjokwa,
hmm
and and then these guys they come up and ask me if I could help them with what they're doing. And I had heard about Snipe. They did an investigation at the library where a book flew off the thing, and that's right up my alley. Like I love everything horror. I love horror movies. I love being scared. I love even horror illustrations, and that I don't know why that interests me, but it does.
mm,
And
mm,
so when these guys asked me to go up to the mush hole,
mm.
like I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I was at the time I was making highlight reels and game footage for the Rebels,
hmm
and that's how they found me.
hmm
And in case you didn't know, it's Junior B Rebels Lacrosse.
Yep. Yep.
And so we we went up, and that was my first time experience was at the mush hole doing a investigation.
mm,
Before then, I seen it on TV, but the investigation point part really it was kind of foreign to me. Or especially like going to Longhouse and doing these things.
yep.
Like you're not supposed to be doing it, but
Yeah.
We kind of touched on that earlier.
Yeah.
yeah,
This is good though because again, yeah. I mean, this is another firsthand experience. So go for it. Let's hear it.
yeah.
I like this.
So at Go Neo, so I've been working at Go Neo since like 2005 or so, 2007,
hmm
and they I was really fortunate to sit here in the resource center with Ima Johnson Gaha and Latiki Gaha.
Mm.
And we became friends. And these guys, these ladies, they're like big in the longhouse. They're longhouse families,
Mhm.
and they taught me so much because I came from this path of going to church and Sunday school, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, and then not really knowing anything about our culture or anything.
Yeah.
And then I run into these guys and they're telling me all I'm learning all about Longhouse and from their perspective what it was like back in the day. I'm learning about I'm learning about uh I'm learning about our myths and legends. I'm
Yeah.
learning about all that stuff. And 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 that leads me into working with our Confederacy a bit like our Confederacy title holders. And so now I'm going through all out through our Confederacy, learning about all these different things that relate to Haudenosaunee. And everything is totally spiritual with us. Like it's just ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in who we are.
Yep.
Um, like sometimes I hear people like Haudenosaunee people, they don't believe in this and that. And it's hard because um it's who we are, really. We have this connection to not just the earth, but to everything around us.
Yeah. Well, that's the Ganonyok, right? I mean, that's why we do that, is that connection, that giving of thanks for all that was provided for us, and that we're a part of it, not apart from it, And
Right.
so you're right. I mean, I certainly understand that and get that. And, one of the things I brought up to Jay was that I think there was a time that I think people in general, and particularly maybe even our people, that we were much more connected to these things, different realms, different sort of frequencies and sort of things that surrounded us that we were a part of, that with colonization, with, technologies, things like that coming in, a lot of those things have been disrupted, where we've kind of lost that inherent sort of connection to these energies and things like that I think that the old people were much more in tune with, that had real experiences around and actually had an understanding of, where they weren't so like, they had a respect for those things, and they understood that there was dark medicines, there was dark sort of powers and energies and things like that. And that's just that balance in the world as well. Like there's the positive and the negative, and that goes all the way back to our creation story, when you think about a lot of that stuff, where it's not so much the good twin and the bad twin, but it's just these positive and negative energies that exist in the world that we have to accept and understand that that is the balance, and that's where we sit, is in between all of that.
Well,
Right.
I think too a good analogy that I like to think about is people have asked us, and they've asked me, they've asked Artie, they've asked all of us, um, why do you only investigate at night?
Hmm.
And the short answer, everybody during the day is too busy,
Hmm.
like literally and figuratively. Uh, we get reports of stuff happening paranormal during the day all the time.
Hmm.
But what does that have to compete with to get noticed? It has to literally compete with the noises of your office if you work in an office, traffic, day to day, everything.
Yep.
Like we did an investigation at our local radio station, and we were there during the day, and for how loud it was around there was a prime example of we investigate at night mostly because the daytime noises are gone and we can tune into things better.
Yeah.
So quite literally, our lives are like daytime and nighttime investigation.
Yep.
We've just gotten too busy.
Well, and again, it's a lot of that energy bouncing around, right? So again, maybe
Hmm.
you're going to miss those frequencies because there is so much commotion, so much energy, so much,
Yeah.
frequencies and things like that bouncing around. So yeah, it makes sense that that's probably a quieter time of the day where there's less of that happening. That then you can actually kind of, like you said, tune in and see and actually experience a little bit more. So,
Well, as a kid, I remember stuff happening during the day more than it did at night.
hmm,
So like I could be home, me and my buddies be home alone, and a cup flies off the counter, and you're like, whoa! But it happened during the day, not at night. So like I said, so not just from a paranormal standpoint, but in life, like you said, we're out of tune with so much of these things and energies we don't recognize anymore because life has got too busy.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
After some of the
Go ahead.
evidence that we've been through, like we've caught, um, I really start to wonder and think about um, like what we're talking about is like seeing stuff and experiencing stuff during the day. Now, there is a lot of that commotion and noise going on that's distracting. And so I think about that and it's like I wonder how many times in a big city like Toronto, there's thousands of people walking around. Like, who's to say something you're looking at isn't a spirit?
Hmm.
Because it's like you would never know. They
Hmm.
could just be walking amongst us and people wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
And I I think about that stuff all the time. Like they're just here with us. And this Hollywood sense of what a ghost
Yeah.
is like that became a thing in like the 1920s when movies started because they had to portray what they think a ghost would look like.
Sure.
So before that, ghosts were like solid just like anybody else. It's like the rest of us. It was like looking at another person. And we that happens to us all the time. Like me, you, everybody, when we're walking somewhere and we think we see something at the corner of our eye and we look and it's gone, like that totally could be something.
Hmm.
And we're just outside that realm and we can only get a glimpse of it.
Yeah. So, from for your standpoint, coming into or coming back to, more of the culture and the language and things like that, has this, activity of being kind of connected to the other side and things like that, has that made a little bit more meaning of what you've been learning? Does it kind of help you in terms of your learning process and things like that, where you now have a different sort of lens that you're looking at the world through in terms of like your indigenous thought processes and things like that, like where you're now connected like to your original culture, your original ways, things like that, and now you're seeing the life and now you're seeing that world and that realm, and also again learning and understanding and hearing about some of our our myths and legends and things like that. Now it probably makes a little bit more sense, and now from a language standpoint for you, does that kind of fulfill those things for you as well?
There's totally connections with language. Like I've heard you mention it a few times now, just the brief time I was on this call, but you said you've been saying frequencies.
Hmm.
So frequencies is just vibrations,
Yep.
and the word for like I'm here, like I'm standing here, like I'm right here, I'm here.
Hmm.
That word in Mohawk and probably all of our other languages is eges.
Hmm.
So like eges, I'm here.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean like I'm just standing here. That that word literally means that my physical person is here, but I'm kind of constantly in motion.
Hmm.
I'm constantly moving. I'm not just here. There's blood running through my veins.
Yep.
There's breath. My lungs are opening up. I'm constantly in motion. And so if you think about that and then relate that to the frequencies, um, like what are other frequencies are we missing or we just don't understand yet that that we can't see? Like where could that thought process take us?
Hmm.
So I'm always thinking about these things and I'm just learning. I think I'm always going to be learning.
Hmm.
And I've been fortunate to get some more than others. And then at the same time with that our beliefs and our practices, I talked to some of my friends and some of my friends they're like they're uh they're title holders or they're busy in the longhouse and they're like always busy doing funerals or feasts. And I tell them about what I'm doing, and they kind of just like, you probably wouldn't want to do that if you seen what I seen type of thing during like a feast or something.
Yeah.
And some of those stories they told me, like they're pretty wild.
Yeah.
And and I think I'm just kind of like on the surface of understanding really
Sure.
like who we are, our indigenous ways and everything, because there's so much.
Yeah, I mean, one of the questions I had asked Jay early on was, how do you take care of yourself, after having some of these experiences and things like that, and how do you, protect yourself going into a place ahead of time, and do you ask and at least kind of announce yourself in a way, and one of the other things that kind of struck me here, and you know, I don't know if you've had this experience yourself, Artie, or not, but Jay, you've had talkbacks and conversations, or you've at least kind of gotten some, like you said, intelligent answers and things like that. But it's always
Hmm.
been in English. Like I don't think every ghost spoke English, right? So has there been experiences or times where, like, you as like a language learner or something like that, there's probably Ongwehoe, ghosts that are out there as well that didn't speak English, so they probably had to at least understand that, you're here in a good way and you're using, you're here for a good reason, good purpose. If you're announcing yourself in, one of the languages, then are they picking up on it? That are they understanding that? And also, I mean, not for nothing, I mean, Six Nations and even Southern Ontario was sort of Haudenosaunee territory historically, but really Anishinaabe and other groups and things like that, Erie, Neutral, whatever, a lot of those groups got absorbed into us. So, using different languages or having language, being present, what sort of experiences come out of that?
Yeah, I've always tried to reach out with our languages.
Yeah.
Um, and there's been like the audio evidence when we're listening. There's nothing has been definite
Hmm.
with our language, even like with a sago or something, just something simple.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say.
Mm.
Um, there was one time we're out in Winnipeg with our friend Michael Pierre, and he's Cree,
Mm.
and he was listening. I forget what we were doing. I think we might have been doing a portal session, and he heard over the portal a word that struck him as a Cree word.
Mm.
And then so we're discussing that, and then we heard another one come over the portal. And this word he was saying was very similar to a word that we use like for like almost like hanyo, like hurry up, or
Hmm.
it was kind of like that. And it was this me and him both have this moment where it's like, wow, our even though you're Haudenosaunee, I'm Cree, our languages were kind of the same for a second there, and
Mm.
what's going on here?
Mm.
So there is moments like that.
Yeah.
Um, and there's other moments where we're getting like um German and French
Mm.
and other languages.
Some of the settler languages and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, we did get what we thought was Huga. We were in Oshawa. We were doing an investigation in Oshawa, if I remember correctly, and it was Todd and I were in his little log cabin, and we thought we got Scano.
Hmm.
Mm.
Um, Debatable, but it sounded like it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no matter where we are, Artie usually will ask, "What's the indigenous ties?" And if there's any inkling that there was our people were there, Artie he'll do call outs in Mohawk language. So, and it's a hell of an asset to have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, especially if you guys are a Six Nations group, I was wondering and would like to know that, that this is you guys are approaching this from an indigenous standpoint or an indigenous lens,
Hmm.
I guess, sort of thing. Is that, what is that tie? What is that connection? And why is it important that you're doing this work? And in particular, I mean, then that kind of goes back to like why APTN kind of even picked you guys up. I mean, are there other indigenous, paranormal, entities or groups and things like that out there that are doing similar work where you guys have collabed and done that type of work together?
Yes. Um, Jay's friend out in Tandanega. What's his name, Jay?
Andrew Brandt.
Andrew Brandt.
Hmm.
He has a little group going on in Tandanega. Um, I think he does do investigations and that sort of thing. Um, a lot more people of our people are more um, like the seer type, like
Yeah.
they're seers
Mm.
or they're mediums or they help in that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Jay about that. I asked him a little bit about that. Was like, on some of these, investigations have you brought seers and things? And he said there's been, kind of mixed results, mixed sort of experiences, and and again, also I want to be respectful and mindful that this is something that is very important in our culture, that people definitely do prescribe to these types of medium seers and things like that, and they help people in a lot of ways. So I'm not trying to make light of it, and I'm not trying to again sensationalize it and things like that, but it just you're kind of drawn to that right away, is that these people already had this sort of gift or this understanding. Where does that kind of align with these things that we call, from a Western lens, again, the paranormal? You know what I mean? Where maybe in their world, maybe in in Haudenosaunee, Neha, in our cultural values and things like that, that would have been something that, like, yeah, we lived with that. We understood that that was part of what was there, and how we understood places and how we moved through places is that we had to kind of, you got to put something down, you got to put tobacco down, you got to do different things in order to, do it in the right way or in a respectful way and things like that. And so, again, the paranormal becomes this Western sort of notion, ideology, and things like that. But in reality, from maybe like an indigenous perspective, this is life. This is what it is. This is really that connection to all that surrounds us and all that supports us and things like that.
Well, well, you know what? Like for me, when when I first came on board, like I was saying, we went to the mush hole.
Yeah.
So the reason why we even got in the mush hole was because residential school survivors, um, they wanted us. They wanted our help to see if we could at least find something there, if there was something there to find.
Wow.
And and that kind of made it okay for me.
Yeah. So
Um,
you're not
yeah,
exploiting the traumas and things like that.
yeah, it was never about exploiting, it was about helping.
Yeah.
Um, and and when we did find stuff, the administration was like they shut us right down.
Really?
Yeah,
Yep.
because they're like, we're not gonna put that out there. We don't want that kind of those optics that were ghost filled structure. So we had
Wow.
to sign an NDA and everything. And
Jeez.
so like the survivors at that time too, they're like, well, you got to show the evidence because we're showing people, right? We're showing those survivors on one, and then they're saying, oh man, you got to show everybody this, and we're like, we agreed, yeah, we should be showing everybody this, but the powers that be said no, no, you
The
shouldn't.
suit swooped in, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never heard that, and that kind of did, was kind of crossed my mind, and was my question early on, was that, like, you know, clearly the mush hole being the proximity that it is to Six Nations, you guys had to do some work there, and what was the circumstances, how you got invited in, or how you guys even deemed that that would be a spot, because it's a sensitive conversation, it's a sensitive talk, right? And
Hmm.
especially in light of like all the discoveries and things like that. I mean, so have you had other experiences at other residential schools as well? And, maybe not to the point of like, you being having to sign an NDA and things like that, but have you gone to these other places to try to do that work? Because I know that a lot of these places out west, and, in particular, I know where Sugarcane was filmed or whatever else, like they're doing like the LiDAR and stuff like that. Like, have they tried to, call in like mediums or even kind of, seers or paranormal investigators and things like that to help with like maybe trying to find if there are actual, burials and, graves and
Yeah,
things
I'm
like that?
not sure. I can't help you with that one. Like the only other residential school we've been to that I've been to was the one in what is that place? Fort Lorraine?
Yep. Portage La Prairie.
Oh yeah,
It,
Portage La Prairie.
it's the National Residential School Museum now.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
And
when we first started investigating um, here in Brantford, we were going in quite frequently without anybody knowing.
Hmm.
Um, and we had one guy that was on SNIPE that was maintenance there, so he had the keys and the alarm codes. And then after all this stuff start coming out about finding unmarked graves, is we kind of backed off and said, out of respect for the survivors from all residential schools and the ones that are buried at these places, that we had said that we wouldn't investigate, like we wouldn't put it on TV basically, and
Sure. Sure.
and try to, we didn't want anybody, like you said, we didn't want to monopolize anything. We didn't want to try to make any money off of it.
Yeah.
But Artie's been in contact quite a bit with, off and on with the Mohawk Institute, the Mush Hole, and got the NDA dropped.
Hmm.
So I mean, we were showing the evidence anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, Artie's been in contact with them, with the Survivor Secretariat and everything, and got the NDA dropped. Now it's just a matter of, do we want to now do an investigation there and possibly put it on TV?
Hmm.
We don't know. That's a discussion we've had with producers, directors, because one of our directors, John Elliott, is from Six Nations.
Hmm.
So he knows what it's like to live in our community. He grew up there. He knows the day-to-day struggles we faced.
Sure.
So now it's a matter of, the survivors still want us to go in.
Yeah.
But again, we've kind of hit a bit of a roadblock.
Well, I mean, I just recently saw like there was some politician from Canada who was like a denier, and she's like completely against all of this and doesn't believe any of that, that none of that happened, whatever. She just wants to kind of erase that. It's a pretty heavily politically charged discussion in and around, obviously First Nations communities in Canada and things like that, but here in the U.S. side, I mean, it's a little different. I mean, they're still trying to sort it all out, figure it out, but I think that it's a much more heavily charged and politically charged discussion that's happening there. And I think there's been a lot more exposure around it. I think there's been a lot more sort of like public, information and people, being aware of these things. It's interesting to try to maybe introduce the paranormal discussion into all of this. But, from our standpoint, in terms of like being indigenous people, again, having that connection, having that relationship, and understanding that that is a possibility and that is something that another way of knowing that maybe Western society's not ready to have that conversation yet, That's just another thing that like, hey, we're going to present some more information for you as to like what exactly happened here. And, this is coming from an indigenous perspective and, we're not a bunch of like, I don't know, conspiracy theorists and whatever else, but like this is how connected we are to this earth and this land, and this is who we are, and this is part of our belief systems and practices, and this is something you have to know about us as well, that this is a possibility.
There was one in Michigan we were looking into a few years back. They were called residential schools. They what the heck were they called? Do you remember what that one was called, Artie? It was in Michigan. It was on part of it was owned by the city or the state. The other part was owned by the Chippewa community.
Mm.
And an industrial school is what they were called.
Yep.
And we had reached out to see if we could go, if SNIPE could go investigate. I don't even think we were on TV at that point. We hadn't even started filming or nothing. We were just looking for places to investigate. And we reached out to this place in Michigan, and the response we got back was, no, you're not allowed to come and investigate, and if we catch you on the property, we'll charge you with trespassing. And that was from somebody from the Chippewa Nation in Michigan. It wasn't from the city, it wasn't from the state, it was from the indigenous community that oversees part of it.
Wow.
So I was a little taken aback that they didn't want us there either. So I'm like, seems to be a trend here.
I mean, follow the dollars, maybe,
Maybe, yeah. But here's what's funny. Like people could go and walk around on the grounds, but only part of it that was owned by the city or the state. Part of the grounds that was owned by the Chippewa community was off limits. I even told them, like, we're indigenous, we're Native American as well. We just want to come and look around, and they're like, no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's complicated, I mean, all the different relationships, I mean, and how each of the communities, each of the territories, how colonization kind of affected them. I think that there's all sorts of different relationships around it. I mean, identities and things like that were determined and changed and up and kind of overturned and things like that. How we identify, who we identify as our citizens and things like that. I mean, there's a big battle and conversation around that right now, and I don't want to dive into the whole pretendian thing, but that's a big part of a lot of this. Is how people identify and what their relationship were to the colonizers and how that all kind of happened. And same thing. I mean, even like kind of attitudes, I mean, like which communities were Christianized early on and which ones really had these taboos around, like, we don't want to believe in any of those types of things, that paranormal or that extraordinary type of stuff. And,
Mhm.
it seems like more the traditionalist type of communities and things like that probably have a much better understanding and handle on like what is the reality, that, these are the things that are here, and that these places do have a history. They do have, energies and things like that that do exist, that, you guys just slapped up a building on top of without any kind of recognition or even kind of understanding or respect for the fact that we told you don't do that. You know what I mean? Somebody might have told him at one point, like, I wouldn't do that, but that's on you, and here you guys are now kind of unpacking some of that stuff and making meaning of some of this. And it's not just colonial ghosts and things like that, but these could be old, historical indigenous, energies or life forms or spirits and things like that that are still in these places, in these spaces.
Oh, for sure.
For our show, like it's really hard to get places on reserve. Like that's something like me and Jay always want to do, go to different reserves or even our reserve in our communities and do investigations that mean something to us, right?
Yeah.
Because there's places in our community that we would like to go, but um, there's a stigma or something around uh, this for our own people that they don't want us in there. Like we were told once, we there's a fear, I think, that if we go somewhere like that and that gets out to the public, that public won't show up for events. There'll be it's like a deterrent for them to show and support, or it's going to attract the wrong people,
Hmm.
like all the weirdos
Yeah, yeah.
to see what's going on here. So like I get it, but I really would like to argue our case to say that we're doing this with respect and we're trying to help here. We're not trying to, you know, take over someone's organization or anything.
Mm. Well, I guess
It,
one of the
it seems
concerns. Oh, go ahead, Jay. Sorry. Go ahead.
it seems to be um, band council owned buildings.
Hmm.
I'll say it. We've had employees come to us and say, "You guys should investigate our building, our work. It's so bad there." This, and they'd rattle off like dozens of stories of things that happened.
Hmm.
And then to go further, some of the clients that go attend certain buildings that are council run, and they're like, "Yeah, this happened when I went there, blah blah blah." And then for whoever's in charge to come back and say, "We don't want our employees, our staff, or our clients too scared to come here." And we're like, "It's your clients and staff and employees who are telling us to come there."
Yeah.
And but so yeah, the band council buildings have, we've been told they're not haunted. But yet there is a there was an elected chief who literally days before he was on his way out, um, he got us into the Six Nations elected council building to investigate.
Hmm.
He wanted that done as kind of like his last order of business before he left office.
Again, politically charged,
Oh
but
yeah, 100%.
I mean, too, and thinking about that, I mean, our people also had other understandings of medicines, and if it's a band council building, who's to say that somebody didn't say, like, hey, we got to get those guys out of here, or we're not going to let them be here, and somebody put something on it. You know what I mean? Who knows? I
Mhm,
mean, I know that's
mhm.
always sort of another topic of discussion and conversation and whatever else. And again, that's just that understanding that, the indigenous lens and indigenous mindset of like understanding that, That could be too. I mean, people say that the Bills stadium, got a hex put on that. So that's why the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl. So we'll just put that out there for the non-native audience, like, let you know that, there's some things that are out there that people are trying to, you know, figure out or try to even to try to poo-poo and stuff like that at times. But, if you're tuned in, if you're tapped in a little bit, you don't take it out of the realm of possibilities, I guess. And I think
Well,
that. Go ahead.
we just had an episode air a couple of weeks ago, and it's been talk around here for decades. The curse of the Market Square in Brantford.
I saw this. Yeah, yeah.
So we investigated the curse.
Yeah, talk about this. I want to hear
Um,
this. Yeah.
so it's what years and years and years ago it was a market,
Yep.
not just indigenous or Native American farmers or whatever selling their wares. There was non-natives there too. It was downtown Brantford.
Hmm.
Eventually they made it into a park and they start charging fees. And, they were told that's not what this is about. That's not what it's for, blah, 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 blah. Community members got together, um, basically said, nothing will ever go here. Nothing will ever make it here as long as you're going to keep doing this. And it has to come back to the original people for its original purpose before anything will function.
So let me just give a lay of the land then as well. Like, so this was originally on part of like the Haldeman Tract, right? So part of
Yep.
like, it would have been part
Yep.
of like the Haldeman Tract, Indian territory, Indian lands.
Yep.
I think part of the story was that a woman was put off by the fact that a man was being harassed for not charging tax or something like that. It was like a taxation
Well,
type of thing or one of those types of deals.
Well, let
they
me tell you,
basically,
I can tell you. So
you
what it
ever
was,
already?
market, and our people were always going up there to sell their stuff.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
this one man, well, like Jay said, they started charging fees to have your spot.
Gotcha.
And so our people were like against the fees.
Yeah, because it's our
And one
land.
of our guys went up there anyways to sell, I think he was selling firewood or something. He was selling something. And the the other vendors or whatever, someone told on him, said he didn't pay a fee. So they warned him. Next day he came back. He was still selling stuff, still didn't want to pay the fee. So he said, if you don't pay the fee, we're gonna have to arrest you.
Hmm.
We're gonna have to take you. So he wouldn't take the fee. He got arrested and all this stuff happened. And this man was very connected to our traditional leadership here.
Yep.
So they band together and like they had to get him out of jail. It was this whole thing. And like shortly after that, like that market was in place for a while, but shortly um after that man got arrested, like that's when they put in action to curse this place, like Jay said, that nothing will ever work there or be successful or grow. And ever since then, downtown Brantford has been just a dump.
Jesus.
Well, it ended up a parking lot
Yeah.
for local businesses, and then they built them all. Eaton's built the Eaton Center on that spot,
Hmm.
and that I think that mall functioned for only for like a few years. All the stores closed. They tried a couple of different kicks at the can, so to speak, to get business going.
Yep.
Nothing worked. Nothing. There was a movie theater. They read there. It's in the episode we shot right in the movie theater itself, but like not even a movie theater could go there.
Hmm.
It's still there. The only thing gone out of the movie theater is the actual physical screens that they're off the wall, but all the seats are still there. The projection rooms are still there. They would still have the monstrous reels that the movies were on, and like those reels are 5 feet high when
Jeez.
you stand them on their side. Like everything's still there. Wilfrid Laurier University kind of took over now.
Yep.
Rumor is they're trying to sell because they can't even classes can't even function there.
Wow.
There's basically it's a big student center. Kids go and hang out there, and like there's rooms where they're playing video games and stuff, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant in there, and that's yeah, nothing. But it was implemented. Lori Green, Elma Green was the one in charge of renewing the curse
Yeah.
twice a year, spring and fall. Her granddaughter Lori now still does it. She was on the episode with us.
Yeah.
Um, there was a few things that happened while we were investigating there. Some of the stuff that Trevor heard over the sensory depth, he said was Mohawk,
Hmm.
and John Elliott, he was listening in as well, and he's like, I couldn't tell what was being said, but it sounded like Mohawk. So, I
Hmm.
mean, something did say Elma's name. We kind of think her dad came through, or
Hmm.
her grandpa, Lori's grandpa.
Hmm.
Um, there was what was it? Artie, a bucket of water was moving around by itself.
Hmm.
Sheesh.
There's quite a bit of story there too. Like for me, the episode was really kind of controversial. Tristan ended up going home because she didn't want no part of that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Uh, because Lori proclaimed, well, before I ask that, Ainsley,
Yeah.
is it Ainsley or Ansley?
Ansley. Yep.
Ansley. Ansley. In your knowledge, you're a director of Ganadago or something for a while, right?
I work here now. I'm the
Yeah,
cultural liaison here. Yep.
sweet. So I'm sure you have a background and you heard some of our stuff. So what did you hear about witches? And what did you hear about witches more specifically, like um the end of times or anything like that?
Well, I mean, I know that there's definitely signs and things like that, and I mean, I know that coming with the Gaiweo and stuff like that. There's a lot more conversation around that stuff. So
Yeah,
understanding that and knowing that, I'm
yeah.
certainly aware. So yeah.
So yeah, so Guy Huio, that it was said that there'll be a time when like it's a prophecy, right? There'll
Yep.
be a time when witches will openly share that they're witches.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
And there'll be a time when witches will just reveal themselves and they're not going to hide no more.
Hmm.
So there we are at Eaton Square talking about all this witch stuff. And Lori's like in our initial meeting shot, Lori's sitting there telling the camera, "Oh, I'm a witch, I'm this," and I'm like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa," and I'm kidding with her, right? Like, you're just saying that, right? Because you just want to put the fear. And she goes, "No, I'm a witch. If anyone fucks with me, they're gonna get fucked up," and I was like, "God damn." And then that's about the time Tristan, she was like, "What the hell? I'm out of here," and she left. And
Yeah.
then I was like, "I don't know about
yeah,
this." And
yeah.
then so I started voicing this prophecy, right? I was like, "Have you heard that prophecy when the witches reveal themselves?" Like, and then I start having this internal struggle, like, am I helping to
Facilitate
bring this
witches.
prophecy to life? What's going on? Like, do I want to do that? Should
Yeah.
I do that?
Yeah.
What are my friends gonna think? What are my teachers gonna think?
Yeah.
What should I be here? And I felt like leaving too, but
Yeah.
the curiosity in me is just like I really want to see what was going to happen next.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, that's that line that we kind of toe. You know what I mean? As
Yeah,
far as like what we recognize, what we know, and then like when you're seeing it in live action and you see it in real life, you're just like, all right, am I meant to see this? Do I see this? And I
yeah,
don't know, but yeah,
yeah. Another thing she was doing, she was showing all her medicine and stuff that she uses for these curses, right to the camera.
that's
And
wild.
like we know, if you have your medicine, you're not supposed to show that to anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's supposed to see that stuff.
You
But
guys won't even.
I,
You
I
guys won't
was
even
just
tell you. I was talking to Saudi one time. He wouldn't even tell me how he makes his pickles, where he gets his medicines for that.
Yeah, that's a
he,
prize
he,
secret right there.
he's a cousin. I know where he gets it.
So
Yeah,
But yeah,
did you?
Artie's 100% right. She was flaunting that stuff.
yeah,
Oof.
Um, she had two bags of tobacco that during the whole process of us filming the episode there, she literally dropped 2 bags of tobacco through that whole building.
Wow.
And not I don't know if it was in a good way or not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this about witches too. What I just heard recently, actually, I was talking to a friend, Um, he asked me if he's like, "Do you remember all those like goth people in high school?"
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, like they're like they didn't really take care of themselves, and so people start wondering why they were acting that way."
Mm-hmm.
And they like did a study on these people, and they found out that they were it's kind of like a protection for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they that's how they are in society. Um
They're almost like
they don't want to
contrasts.
be hurt or
Yep.
something. So that's kind of like the protection.
Yep.
So he was saying for us, that's how we see witches. Witches do this thing, and they're like our goths of that time there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, and because he was saying that these witches nowadays, um, they might seem kind of off and stuff and that,
Mm.
but it's because that's who they are. That's their protection.
Yeah. Yep. Well, again, it's that energies, right? I mean, that positive and that negative that has to
Yeah,
balance the world,
yeah,
and that's what that is, And again, I think part of Gaiweo is to talk about the good mind and the good, the good word and stuff like that. And so that's where they want us to kind of bring us back to, because again, that was
mm,
part of the struggle that was happening, is that there was medicines and things like that and witchcraft and stuff like that that was happening. And I know it's a controversial part of the conversation, that people still struggle with, but I think part of that also gets kind of, it's a misnomer, it gets kind of bastardized because of the way that the language is kind of, um, leaning, is that like everything that we say is in like a feminine sort of standpoint, that like, oh, she was a witch, or she, but it actually, a she could also be a he. It's not really a they, you know what I mean?
right,
And
right.
so the way that it's kind of framed in that way, when it was captured, when it was written down, it looks like we were doing like the Salem witch trials, just killing
Mm.
women and stuff like that for witchcraft and whatever else. But there was actually multiple people and other people that were witches on top of all of that. So
Yeah, then you can also say that seers are witches.
yeah. Yep.
Well, seers are witches, but witches are just bad seers.
Yeah.
Like they want to hurt people, and seers want to help people.
Hmm.
So it's terminology there. I,
Yeah.
I have another story about witches real quick.
All right, we got a couple more minutes. Yeah, so go for it.
In Tandanega, um, when we did the episode there with Andrew, where have you ever heard of the Four Kings?
Oh yeah, yep. The guys that went over to
Uh,
yep,
Joseph
Bing.
Brandt and
Yep,
the three other guys.
yep.
So part of what happened in Tandanega while we were there, what was interesting was Tandanega in like the 1900s, um, there was a witch trial.
Hmm.
They were trying these witches, and so that opened up this whole conversation about the witches in Tandanega. So I want to say this was like early 1900s or so. It's like recent. It seems recent.
Hmm.
So, anyways, at when Joseph Brant, when those four kings went over to England,
Yep.
that's this witch thing was part of the topics they were talking about. And what they were saying was these witches, they were having a tough time with the European witches coming over and working with our witches, and they're kind of making these new formulas and new ways to hurt people. And so part of that conversation with England was to discuss how can we help each other to combat these witches
Hmm.
and this new like mixed hybrid form of witchcraft that was happening. Isn't that interesting?
Well, I'll tell you this. So I worked at Cornell for a bunch of years, and they
Yeah.
have a rare and manuscript library, and it's like this like really secluded sort of library way down in the basement. Now, funny known fact is that like Africa Bambaataa, who was like one of the first guys that ever did like hip hop scratching and break beats and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
man.
like
Yeah.
for rap, all of his entire music collection is in the same library. But we went on a tour down there one time with one of the librarians who's a curator of the collection, and he's like, "Hey, take a look at this over here." and he had this little section that was probably, I don't know, maybe half of a shelf or something like that, and kind of eye level or whatever. And he pulls out these books, and he pulls out this one, and the book was probably only about 6 or 8 inches high, maybe a little bit less than that. And they're kind of smaller books or whatever. And he's like, "What do you think these books are?" Without us even opening any of them or whatever else. And he goes, "Why? And why do you think they're this size?" And we were like, "No idea, whatever." But this whole collection that they had were all these book of spells. And the reason why they were that small was that they could be held and kept in, like in a coat pocket or something like that. So they were small enough, but these were like pocket sized like spell books that these guys had. That was all for like the dark arts and things like that. And I was like, whoa. So I was
That's wild, man. That's
and so like this is at like Cornell University. This is like a major
Yeah.
like Ivy
Yeah.
League institution, and they have like these types of collections. They have a copy of the Gettysburg Address, Africa Bambaata's hip hop collection, and they got this book of spells like in there.
that's cool, man. It's funny because our students just went down to Cornell for a visit
Hmm,
like last month,
yeah.
and then they had such a good time down there, and they're so well received that the president of Cornell came up to visit our school.
Hmm.
So he was in our school walking around, and I met him. Had I known this information, hell, I would have asked about that.
Yeah,
Dang, that's cool, man.
yeah.
And Artie brought up those witch trials in Tyndonega. I remember when we were driving up there, and Artie was back and forth with a couple of buddies from Tyndonega. And didn't some of that information they sent you, Artie, say that there was like a witch trial right up till the 1990s in Tyndonega?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That witch trial was like 1990s. It
Wow.
was
Yeah,
recent.
That recent. Oh, I didn't
yeah,
know
it was
that.
like 90. Was it 96?
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking at first I was thinking 60s, but I'm not sure now. I'm really not sure. It might have been the 90s.
I'm pretty sure you were reading it and it said 992 maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah, it
yeah,
was in the 90s.
yeah.
I was still in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's wild. Well,
Yeah.
listen, man. I gotta jump off, but man, this has been an amazing conversation. I appreciate you both taking the time to do this. Where can people see the show? You said you guys, season 5's coming up, so you said APTN Plus. There's a streaming service that's hosting it in Canada.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and I think that Jay and I kind of deduced that like if you have a VPN, you might be able to get access or have access to some of these other platforms and things
Well,
like that are out there.
I did, like I said, I got a guy in Tennessee that watches, and when he was filling out the info on APTN Plus, he clicked country, and he just put Canada in, even though he's not in Canada,
Hmm.
he's still able to see it.
Huh.
He's still able to watch it. So the other networks are APTN, APTN Plus, and Apple TV. But again, if it gives you the option of clicking a country, click Canada.
Yeah, you get to see the show.
And there's
Yeah.
free trials right now for APTN. You can just put your email and get like 3 months free.
Right on. And what do you guys have in terms of like, social media? Can people reach out to you and things like that?
Yep.
Do you want to put that out there? I mean, I can put it in the
We
show
have
notes afterwards, but go ahead.
we have snipehq.ca. So like Snipe headquarters, snipehq.ca.
Okay.
You can read about us there. There's also we have a shop on there where you can buy Snipe swag, Snipe
Nice.
gear.
Yep.
There's you can get this hat on the website.
I like that.
We have Facebook, Six Nations Investigating Paranormal Encounters on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. So we're trying to be all over the place. It's hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Jay, what about you?
Find me on all that too, but I did tell you I had a bomb to drop on you. Um,
All
I'm no
right.
longer on the Creators Game podcast.
Really?
Really,
Sorry to hear that.
well, it was there after discussions with Dea. I got other things that I'm on to go. Actually, it's in the infancy stages. Artie can probably touch on a little more. We're trying to start our own podcast as well, more of a paranormal genre. So I don't know what that looks like. Like I said, it's very very new. It's infancy, but I had said at that time when we were discussing it, I said, well, I'm going to leave the other show so I could put more focus on this because you yourself know they're time consuming. We've been on this one for almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And there's some days when we were shooting 2 episodes a day.
Yep. Yep.
So it takes up a lot of time. I wanted to free up some of that time so I could just have some more me time. Other things coming down the line. So I wanted to free some time up.
Well, congratulations, I guess, for the next adventure and things like that. You are going to be a
Hmm.
loss, but I'm sure they'll probably bring you back occasionally. I mean, you're too much of a voice and too much knowledge in the community to not have on that podcast. But the way I look at it now, I mean, like more content coming out of indigenous communities, voices and things like that, more storytelling. There's so many things that are out there that so many of us can cover, and that, it's a welcome space. I think that, I
Hmm.
love that, you guys were doing what you're doing with that. I mean, a paranormal, page. I mean, Artie, for you, I mean, the number of like myths and legends, I mean, around flying head or, even little people and whatever else, like there's all sorts of things you can go into, that,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, there's stories that can go on and on about that. And, as long as we're all doing it in a respectful way and it's showing our best side, I guess, I think that's the
Yep.
way that we want to
Yep.
honor that and make sure that we're being respectful of the communities, respectful of our people, respectful of our culture. I think that that's the appropriate way to kind of handle and manage those things. And, from being on the inside, that line, where we can take it and where we can go to, and where after that we have to kind of take a step back and say, all right, this is just for the community and stuff like that. So,
Hmm.
Hmm.
well, Yahweh, gentlemen, this has been amazing, and I want to come back maybe a 2.0 of this because this was really great, and
Sure.
I want to hear some more of the findings and things like that, and I mean, just alone with you guys, I mean, if you guys could do it, you guys might be able to swing like a whole resident school, series and things like that, residential schools, I mean, there's a whole thing just in
You
that
know what we
alone.
want to start doing is going and do live shows, like
Mhm.
on a stage. We love doing that and sharing our evidence and talking with people and asking questions
Yeah,
and being challenged, right? We encourage that.
yeah.
Um, so if anyone out there wants us to come and talk to a class or something
Hmm.
or a group, like we do that.
Interesting.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I've got all the information. If you guys can both, I mean, Jay, I have your bio and things like that. But Artie, if you could maybe forward me a bio on you real quick or something like that. I'm on Facebook. I want to be able to include that in the show notes, but also like any kind of contact information where if somebody does want to have, like a live show or something like that, or do some bookings and things like that with you guys, or invite you guys to this side to come take a look and things like that for some spaces and things like that that you guys might have some connection to or may have do some investigations on. I think that'd be interesting and of interest to people.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, well, hey, again, Yahweh, gentlemen, and we'll see you all again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wanna.
Power is in your heartbeat. Right? Power is in your heartbeat. Power is in your heartbeat.